Let's talk about Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. These games are coming out this week as of the time that I'm recording this video, and it's actually a pretty big week overall when it comes to video game releases. Ghost of Yotei is also coming out and more titles. So I wanted to talk about what is going on and the latest with Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 on the Nintendo Switch. So this game is interesting because a lot of people were not happy with the price, myself included. I did not like the fact that they came out and said it's going to cost $70 for the game in the bundle, but you can buy them individually for $40 if you want, so you save about $10 if you buy them together. Now, Super Mario Galaxy 1 is a game that I still have on the Nintendo Wii, and as much as I like Super Mario Galaxy 1 on the Nintendo Wii, I am not busting out a Wii or my Wii U and hooking up Wii remotes and Joy-Cons to play that game. So for me at least, I haven't had a really good replay of Super Mario Galaxy 1 or 2 since like all those years ago. I played them, 100% of them, and I haven't replayed them because there's always been some weird issues with the Wii U release. They did have the Super Mario All-Stars release of Super Mario Galaxy 1, but it was like whatever. I had already played it back then. But not at this point. Super Mario Galaxy 2 comes with this. So that gets me excited because I have not played that game in like 15 years or something like that. But there's also news that it seems like people are super excited for this because this game with Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 with the bundle, in addition to Super Mario Galaxy 2, are both up at number 2 and 3 on the Nintendo Switch eShop charts. Now, they do separate it between Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch 1, but technically speaking, this is not a Nintendo Switch 2 game. It's a Nintendo Switch 1 game that will have a free update at launch to bump it up to 4K resolution and the mouse mode stuff and all of that. So you'll be able to update the Switch 1 game to get all of the Switch 2 features that it does have. You can get that digitally, or you can simply just get the cartridge. You can pop it into your Nintendo Switch 2. There'll be a free update. Download it. You'll be good to go. So for me, this is more about Super Mario Galaxy 2. And I think that there are millions of people who have not played Super Mario Galaxy 2. I know people like to think, oh, Mario, 3D Mario, that sold like a bazillion copies, right? No, not right. Not on the Nintendo Wii. Super Mario Galaxy 1 did pretty good. I think that was over like 13 million units or something like that. But Super Mario Galaxy 2 was in the time of the decline of the Nintendo Wii, and that didn't do anywhere near as good as Super Mario Galaxy 1. So I think there's a lot of people who've actually never even played Super Mario Galaxy 2, despite it being, I think, like a 6 million unit seller, 7 million unit seller. I know like it sold pretty good overall, but it's not like it did like Super Mario Odyssey numbers, like going on 30 million or anything like that. And I don't think it even did like Super Mario 3D World numbers if you count all of the versions of Super Mario 3D World between the Nintendo Switch 1 in addition to the Wii U version combined. I don't think it even did that. So there's a lot of people that probably jumped on board with the Nintendo platforms, like maybe in the Wii U when they were children, or maybe even with the Nintendo Switch 1 when they were kids or teens or whatever, and they've never played Super Mario Galaxy 2. They haven't played these games at all. So I think that this is the opportunity and probably why it's going to end up being one of the better sellers. Right now, it's kind of like a toss-up. Yes, Mario Kart is probably going to sell really good because there's the bundle, but that's kind of being phased out. And of course, it's Mario Kart, so people are going to pick that up. Big update that recently dropped. But I think that if you look at Mario Kart, you have Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's also going to continue selling really well. But when it comes to that big traditional Nintendo game at this point, Super Mario Galaxy 2 with the 3D Mario, we're missing a big brand new 3D Mario game. This might just actually be a substitute for a bit till we get that announcement probably next year for that game. So I do think that Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 will be huge when it comes to the sales. We saw Super Mario 3D All-Stars sell a ton of copies before Nintendo decided they're going to delist it and also take it out of print. So I do think that this one isn't going to have that same thing to where it's a limited release, but I do think that there are going to be people that just go out there and pick it up and say, you know, I just want to get it just in case overall when it comes down to it. Plus you get all those advantages and bonuses and benefits when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 version, or even on Nintendo Switch 1, it's going to play and look a lot better than it did on the Nintendo Wii, for example. So I think these games are actually going to do really well so far based off what we've seen here. But what do you guys think when it comes to Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2? Do you plan on picking up the games or one of them? Let me know in the comment section below. But before we get into the next topic, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. All right, let's go ahead and get into some secret games that seem to be getting some updates on the Nintendo Switch 2 that have not been announced yet. So apparently various Lego games on the Nintendo Switch could be getting Switch 2 upgrades. Recently, somebody put up a picture when it comes to a Nintendo Switch demo unit, or at least like an advertising unit somewhere, and it showed off clearly the Nintendo Switch 2 logo and multiple Lego games. The Star Wars Lego collection, you also have Lego City Undercover, all the different Lego games here. It does seem like they're going to be getting Nintendo Switch 2 versions or upgrades. So that's pretty cool for people who do like the Lego games. It looks like it's going to be Lego City Undercover, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, Lego Jurassic Park, Lego Harry Potter Collection, and Lego DC Super Villains. So more updates, hopefully free updates, but if not, regular versions of it that you can pick up, or maybe low paid upgrades. So I think that's going to be happening. You're going to see more and more of these pop up. There's a lot more developers obviously getting their kits. Lego probably have them for a while now at this point. But if you're looking at it, you want to get as many of these Nintendo Switch 2 versions because of the drastic power jump between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. The Switch 2 can just do so much more. So if we can get these updates for a lot of these different games, it breathes new life into a lot of the titles. For me, at least, having stuff like Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and all these games get these nice updates. Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, it really kind of shows what the Switch 2 can do. So more third-party games, the better when it comes to getting updates. And I'm hoping that we see more of this. I want to personally see from Nintendo, we're all looking for Xenoblade. I know that's the thing that people were like, wait a minute, let's just get something from Xeno. But something tells me that the upgrades for Xenoblade are going to be early next year in terms of announcement for that, because maybe they might pair it with the new announcement for a Xenoblade game. But it's good to see more third-party developers getting their games up and running with native versions on the Nintendo Switch 2. So what do you guys think about all these Lego games potentially getting some big updates on the Switch 2? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, let's jump into Resident Evil Requiem and what's going on with the Nintendo Switch 2 version of the game, because people were shocked to see at Tokyo Game Show that Resident Evil Requiem was not only running on the Nintendo Switch 2, but it was running pretty good, with a lot of discussion and debate whether it was 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second or uncapped, and it was running at 60 with some dips. Whatever the case is, it's not running like a slideshow. We do not have the same impressions that people had when they were talking about Borderlands 4 or Elden Ring, for example. And this just goes to show you, because there's a lot of people that like to talk like they're developers of the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware, like every single game is gonna run like Elden Ring, like we saw an unfinished game, by the way, that was not made for an ARM CPU or not made for Nintendo's architecture, that was unfinished overall, and people will take that and run with it. I had crazy people coming to my stream and wanting to bring that up as if it was some type of knock against me. I don't care. I already have Elden Ring on PS5. I do not care if it runs good or not on the Nintendo Switch 2. That's on the developers if they want to make money on it or not. I don't work for From Software. But when it comes to something like Resident Evil, the RE engine, the optimization, the system that the Switch 2 is, and how it handles things, this is exactly what you want to see. This is exactly why Nintendo released the Nintendo Switch 2 when they did and spent the type of time that they could do. They saw the rising costs of handhelds, of hybrids. We're starting to get upward of the $1,000 plus price range in order to play modern games on these PC handhelds overall. Nintendo comes out with this system that can run Resident Evil Requiem decently at $450. That is going to be huge if Nintendo can keep that price, or at least don't get it above $500. Maybe you pack in a game there with it. Maybe you pack in Welcome Tour with it as well if you're going to drop the 450 model because of the tariffs and everything. But overall, I think that this is impressive, in my opinion, that we're going to be getting games. Obviously, Star Wars Outlaws came out. That was the best port so far in terms of how it ran and looked in comparison of impressiveness. Not the best playing, not the best overall Metacritic score, what users think, but overall in terms of the technology from PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series and how they thought, Digital Foundry felt that that game wasn't going to be able to run good at all on the Nintendo Switch 2, and it actually ends up doing that. So now we're seeing more games from Tokyo Game Show. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, Resident Evil Requiem, Monster Hunter Stories 3, a lot of games looking and running great. Obviously, not up to the level of PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 5 Pro or Xbox Series X or high-end PCs. But it doesn't have to be. People aren't looking for that with this type of system. So to me, at least, this was a huge W to see a game like this, Resident Evil Requiem, running and looking great. And Capcom have more to add to this, saying that they didn't originally plan it, but they ended up doing it based on how well their test with Village went. So here's what they had to say recently. Quote, "The Switch 2 hadn't been announced when we started planning this game, Resident Evil Requiem, so of course it wasn't in the original plan. When the Switch 2 was announced, we were able to start testing development games for it, and we thought it would be great if we could bring the Resident Evil series to this platform. We started off with internally porting Resident Evil Village to see if it would work well on the hardware, and it looked really great. So that gave us the confidence to add a Switch 2 version of Requiem to the plans. And that led us to the recent announcement where we could confirm not only Requiem was coming, but 7 and 8 would also be coming to Nintendo Switch 2 at the same time." So some people kind of twisted this a little bit and made it seem as if, like, oh my gosh, they weren't planning it at all, and then last second they decided to say, hey, let's go ahead and port it. It's like, no, they got their development kits. They saw it, because obviously you make games well ahead of time. I know we heard about Resident Evil Requiem somewhat recently, but they were planning this game for years. But you gotta actually get the kit in order to see if it's going to be for the system. You can't say it's gonna be for the system and you have no idea what the system is going to be in terms of the specs or anything like that. So when they got their kits, they tested it out, it ran great. They said, hey, why not bring over these other games? And I think that they also looked at the sales when it comes to Japan and says, hey, we probably should be looking at that too. So I think that was also a factor overall, especially because the Nintendo Switch 1 did so great with Resident Evil games as well. So definitely good to see that it can handle not only Resident Evil Requiem, but the RE engine running good. So we should see a lot of RE engine games coming over. I think that Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4, the remakes, those are probably going to be next. I wouldn't be surprised to see those at a Nintendo Direct sometime in the first half of 2026. Usually the spring Direct is around February to April, somewhere in that time range. Do not be surprised if we see Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 announced there after Resident Evil Requiem 7 and 8 drop. And I think those are actually going to do pretty well on the Nintendo Switch 2, as we've been seeing a lot of big third-party games. Star Wars, Cyberpunk, Madden, a lot of these big third-party titles have been doing great on the Nintendo Switch 2 eShop. So what do you guys think so far about Resident Evil Requiem and what they had to say there? Mr. Kumazawa was on the beat here with Capcom. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, let's get into this last topic that a lot of Atlas fans are a bit fuming about when it comes to what they had to say about Persona 3 Reload on the Nintendo Switch 2, saying that it matches their graphics quality and standards overall. So here is what Atlas had to say. Mr. Wada from P Studio and Yoshihiro Komori as well. Quote, "For the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware, we started development before the hardware was actually released, and we didn't have a great idea about third-party software as well. After the release of the Switch 2 came a lot of new titles, so that was sort of unexpected, but it also works in our favor. But after it has been released, we are sure that our graphics quality has definitely matched the standards." Now, the reason why this is controversial for some people is because we've played the demo. The demo maybe has a bit of frame rate issues, some frame pacing problems. It's at 30 and not at 60, and people are looking at it as a turn-based RPG. Why isn't this game running at 60 FPS on Unreal Engine, especially if you look at something like Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, which also runs on Unreal Engine, and that runs at 60 FPS on the PlayStation 4. So what's going on here? Unreal Engine 4, turn-based RPG, in environments that aren't quite as big as even that, but it's running at 30 FPS, and I have to look at this and say, Atlas, what's going on here? This seems like it was a bit of a rushed port more so than anything. Once again, you can't have SMT5 Vengeance running at 60 FPS, but then this game right here, same engine with Unreal, same turn-based RPG, but some of the environments, once again, not quite as big. Now that's running at 30 FPS, fans are going to be like, there's a problem here. And then once again, it's not even a superset stable 30 FPS based off of what people are saying from the demo. Now, graphically, it looks solid. Like, I don't think the graphics look fuzzy or bad. It looks pretty good overall. but it definitely seems that they're maybe stressed for a little bit of time when it comes to this. So I'm hoping that they can get a patch out or something like that. And of course, if they can't get it to 60 with the performance patch, they can lock it down at 30 with no issues whatsoever. Plus, people don't like the fact that it's a game keycard on top of that. So those are multiple issues that are stressing Persona 3 Reload fans out when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 version, but we'll see how it actually turns out when the game drops this October. So what do you guys think about everything that we discussed here? There was a lot of topics. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.